The Galactic Diplomatic Assembly had convened on Kepler 442b, specifically because it was supposed to be sterile. No indigenous life forms, no contamination variables, no unexpected complications that could derail humanity's first official contact with the greater galactic community. Ambassador Chen Li had spent 3 years preparing for this moment, memorizing protocols from 17 different species, learning the subtle art of Zephyrian crystal singing, and mastering the complex dietary restrictions that would prevent accidentally poisoning their crystalline hosts. What she hadn't prepared for was Mittens. The orange tabby had somehow stowed away aboard the human diplomatic vessel Endeavour, probably slipping past security in one of the cargo holds. Nobody knew how long he'd been there, surviving on whatever scraps he could find. But he'd emerged from the ship's underbelly, just as the formal proceedings began in the pristine, crystalline amphitheater. "Distinguished beings of the Galactic Assembly," Chen began, her voice carrying across the translucent chamber where representatives from 47 species had gathered. The Zephyrians floated in their containment pods, their gas-formed bodies shimmering with ceremonial colors. The insectoid hive queens clicked their mandibles in respectful attention. Even the notoriously difficult Void Touched had materialized their shadow forms for the occasion. "We come before you not as supplicants, but as..." A plaintive meow echoed through the chamber. Chen froze mid-sentence. Every human in the delegation felt their blood pressure spike simultaneously. This was it. Their one chance to prove humanity deserved a seat at the galactic table, and some cat was about to ruin everything. Mittens padded into the center of the amphitheater, his orange fur slightly matted but his tail held high with the supreme confidence that only cats possessed. He surveyed the assembled aliens with the sort of casual indifference that suggested he found them mildly interesting at best. The Zephyrians' gaseous forms began shifting to alarmed crimson. The hive queen's clicking increased to a frantic staccato. Several of the more fragile species activated their emergency shields. "Ambassador Chen," hissed the void-touched representative, their shadow form rippling with distress. "What is the meaning of this breach of protocol?" Chen's mind raced through her diplomatic training. Deny ownership. Claim it was an indigenous life form. Pretend it was some sort of advanced human technology. But before she could formulate a response, Mittens made the decision for her. The cat approached the nearest alien, a towering crystalline being from the Prism Collective, and began rubbing against what might generously be called its leg. The alien, who had probably never experienced physical contact with a carbon-based life form, let out a harmonious chime that their translator rendered as something between surprise and delight. It purrs, the prism being announced to the assembly, their crystal body beginning to resonate with a warm golden frequency. The small creature generates subsonic vibrations, most pleasant. This was not going according to any protocol Chen had studied. The cat, emboldened by this positive reception, continued his rounds. He investigated the hive queen's compound eyes with scientific curiosity, earning an amused chittering that translated as "bold little predator." He attempted to catch the swirling energy patterns of a void-touched representative, causing the shadow being to emit what could only be described as laughter. When he reached the aquatic collective's containment tank, he pressed his face against the transparent aluminum, causing the dolphin-like creatures within to perform what appeared to be excited loops. "Fascinating," announced the lead scientist from the Cerebral Dominion, their massive brain case pulsing with increased activity. "This creature displays no fear response to unknown stimuli. Most unusual for a prey species." "Prey species?" Chen interjected, her diplomatic instincts finally kicking in. "I think you'll find that cats are actually quite effective predators. On Earth, they're one of our most successful hunters." She wasn't lying, technically. House cats were responsible for billions of bird deaths annually. The revelation sent a ripple of interest through the assembly. The concept of a small predator seemed to intrigue species that had evolved in environments where size typically correlated with danger. Meanwhile, Mittens had discovered something that would change the course of galactic politics forever. The entropy weavers were apparently susceptible to having their crystalline appendages batted at playfully. The ancient beings whose mastery of space-time had made them the unofficial leaders of the assembly began emitting a frequency that their translators struggled to interpret. Finally, the devices settled on joy. "In our eons of existence," announced the primary entropy weaver, We have never encountered a being capable of inducing what you call play behavior in our species. This cat treats us not as cosmic entities to be feared, but as potential companions. Remarkable. Chen watched in amazement as the most powerful beings in the galaxy began engaging in what could only be described as an impromptu play session with a stray cat. The other species, not wanting to be left out, began offering their own appendages, energy fields, and sensory organs for Mitten's inspection. The formal first contact protocols lay forgotten, as the assembly transformed into something unprecedented. A cross-species social gathering centered around one small Earth feline, who had decided that 47 different alien species were all potential sources of attention and possibly food. Ambassador Chen, the Zephyrian representative, said, their gaseous form now a pleasant lavender. Your species brings something unique to the galaxy. Not advanced technology or military might, but this. The ability to forge connections across biological boundaries. Your companion treats all beings as worthy of interaction, regardless of their form or power. Chen looked at Mittens, who was now purring loudly while simultaneously being petted by a void-touch tendril, a prism being's resonance field, and a hive queen's antenna. Somehow a stray cat had accomplished in 10 minutes what centuries of diplomatic theory had struggled to define. True interspecies harmony. The Galactic Assembly, announced the Entropy Weaver, votes to grant humanity full membership. On one condition. Chen held her breath. We require regular cultural exchanges. Specifically, we wish to learn more about these cats. As the assembly erupted in harmonious agreement, clicks, chimes, resonances, and shadow whispers blending into something like cosmic applause, Chen made a mental note to revise the diplomatic protocols. Apparently, the key to galactic peace wasn't careful preparation or political maneuvering. It was bringing a cat. Mittens, oblivious to his historic achievement, had found a warm spot created by the intersection of several energy fields and settled down for a nap. His purring provided a gentle backdrop to the most successful first contact in galactic history. The age of human diplomacy had begun, and it sounded exactly like contentment.